Melinda, welcome in.
Thank you.
Looking forward to talking it over with you. And we start at the very beginning. Born May 29th, 1956.
Yep.
Tell me about your parents and your family memories.
Well, my mom grew up in Neola, Iowa, which is outside of Omaha, Nebraska. And she grew up on a farm, but then had moved to the small town. She loved that. She really has talked so much about growing up there. She really loved it. She was the oldest of 6. She had 4 brothers and then her sister. And a very interesting story, and I thought this was really, with the pandemic we went through, her father had the Spanish flu after World War I.
Oh, wow.
So got married, had the 6 children, and when she was 13, so her youngest sister was 3, he started showing signs of some mental health issues. And I guess kind of a manic depressant, and would go into town and kind of like, it displayed some mental problems. And he was institutionalized for over 30 years.
Oh, my
On
goodness.
today's market, I doubt if they would have, somebody.
Yeah.
But it was that the virus remained dormant until those years, and then it activated itself again. So it's like, I wonder if anything's going to happen when we go further out with this COVID.
Wow.
Because it was, and Spanish flu took so many people. Oh, it was crazy.
Right after World War I, right?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
And so then when she was in high school, right after high school, she moved to Omaha, lived with an aunt. I mean, everybody kind of like moved around however they could find. And she went to secretary school, and she had a lot of different jobs there. But she was working in, I think it was a munitions plant, helping to make bombs.
Okay.
And then World War II started, and she saw this notice on the bulletin board for to join the civil service. And she went up to Whitehorse, Canada, in the Yukon Territory. So I thought that was so cool that here was a little young lady. I mean,
I don't know anybody who has ever lived there, much less somebody who knows somebody who lived there.
And so she was up there for 18 months building the Alaskan Highway.
Wow.
And that project, I had looked it up, it was crazy. They had developed that project so fast because of the threat of the Russians coming over. Yeah. And so she was there, and she worked in the Intelligence Security Office, fingerprinting all the different people. There was thousands of people that worked up there. And she said she got there right after during the winter, you get down to like -38, but they couldn't really feel it. So some people were, getting a lot of frostbite. And then when the spring came, men were up to their waist in trying to get some of the roads built and everything.
Oh, my goodness.
So very interesting that,
Wow.
and then she went up to Alaska a lot to visit things. Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so that was cool.
Yeah, that is incredibly cool.
And then after the war, she, of course, she came back to Omaha.
Yeah.
And my dad was from Elmwood, Nebraska.
Okay.
It was to the west of Omaha a little bit. His grandfather was an immigrant from Ireland. And, of course, the potato famine sent them over. So they just developed, they lived in Elmwood, and then I believe they had 11 children. And so his dad was one of the 11.
Yeah.
And small town, lived on a farm, did a lot of work. They just had a lot of hard work, especially with having so many people in the family. But he just really was the nicest, amazing man. I mean, he just was so amazing.
Yeah.
And then he moved into Omaha during high school, and he joined the Navy during World War II. So when I was looking through my emails, just some pictures and stuff, I came across an essay that my daughter wrote when she was in high school. So she interviewed Grandpa, and I thought I would share that just because
I can't wait to hear this.
It encapsulates everything about my dad's service.
That's awesome.
And
yeah,
it was
please,
really cool.
Please do. I can't wait to hear it myself.
All right. Keeping Your Head Above Water by Mary Brown. It was a clear September day in 1942. I had to walk to go enlist in the Navy as an electrician's mate. Just before I became a legal voter, I was told I would have to join either the Army or the Navy. The choice was easy for me, although I didn't want to leave my life in Nebraska. My Uncle Jim, who was a sailor in the Great War, once told me, "In the Navy, you'd always have a dry place to sleep. So even though you're sleeping in the midst of rushing water and high winds, you will sleep in a dry and hopefully somewhat comfortable spot whenever you could catch a nap. I first went to Seattle, Washington for my training. There I learned to operate and repair heavy gun turrets. I've always been fascinated with learning and didn't mind the work. I've always been good with my hands. Since a young age, I would build things. I have a natural mathematical ability, and with my mechanical abilities, electrician mate was a good fit. After a year in Seattle, I continued my game of life. The next stop was the South Pacific, which is where my actual Navy career began. I boarded a very small ship that took me on quite a journey, all the way to the coast of South Pacific. The ride there was not eventful. Our whole crew had relatively little trouble with injuries and came away with almost no scratches. While I was overseas, the only way I could communicate with my family was through letters. The other problem was that all my brothers were also enlisted in the war. It became nearly impossible for any of us to communicate with one another because of the great distance that separated our brotherhood. I still communicated with my sister, Sis, who was 3 years younger than me. Sis sent me my first letter I received while aboard. In the letter, Sis exclaimed, "I've gotten married to a very kind gentleman, and we are so happy together. I can't wait until you guys meet each other. The two of you will bond instantly. See you soon. Love, Sis."
Wow.
The news obviously had a strong impact on me because it made me realize for the first time how removed I was from my life in Nebraska. My younger sister got married to someone I never knew. I couldn't even give my consent on the boy. Then I thought to myself, I guess that life keeps on keeping on, even while there is a war. In January 1946, after the treaty to end the war had been signed in Tokyo Bay, I thought I could finally go home at last. But on my voyage, the journey took a big twist. The winds became very high, and the entire crew grew very nervous. Almost everyone either began praying or thought they would be sick. An enormous typhoon had struck the ship before our crew barely reached the open ocean. The whole crew felt that they would not survive this ordeal because of the nonstop intense winds and high tides that shook the boat. I became the hope giver to many of my comrades and vividly remember telling one of my nervous-looking buddies we were going to get through this. Jimmy, with his feet and arms trembling, replied, "I sure hope you're right, because this will be one hell of a story to tell our kids and grandkids." Laughing, I said, "I just don't want this ship to turn over." Although I had been in the Navy for quite some time now, I had never learned to swim. Luckily, no one was injured too bad, but the storm did so much damage to the ship, it took 30 days to fix. This prolonged the crew's journey back to the States. We all just wanted to return to our anxious families. These years in the Navy made me realize how much my family meant to me. I thought the Navy had changed me for the better. It made me love each and every one of my family members even more. Total deaths, injury, and damage from the typhoon. 36 killed, 47 missing, 100 seriously injured. 12 ships sank, 222 were grounded, and 32 severely damaged.
Wow.
After the treaty.
After the treaty. After all of that.
After all that, because he kept saying, I wasn't in any real heavy fighting or anything. And then to have that happen.
My
but I thought that was
goodness.
just a great way that she captured his story.
Yes, that is so wonderful. That is
Yeah.
incredible to
Yeah.
get the firsthand account
Yeah.
of not only being in World War II, but you think you're done, you think you're home, and then you experience that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that is incredible.
Yeah. So that was really fun. And after he was in the service, I'm 42 to 40,
Yeah.
a few years. And then he came back, and then Mom and Dad met at a dance in Neola.
Oh.
And they, fell in love, got married, and they were quite old. So many of the people had married before they went away or, in the service period. And so they were 26 years old. Ooh.
Oh, my goodness.
So then they got married at 10 o'clock in the morning on a weekday. It was not that big a deal. Came home for some cake. And I included a picture from their album. It says, "Watch Omaha Grow." And so that was really fun because there's 8 of us in the family.
Yeah.
And there's 7 girls, and then finally they had a boy at the end.
Oh,
so
my.
that was fun.
Yeah.
So Michael was very spoiled. And we lived in downtown St. Louis, not St. Louis, downtown Omaha until I was 4.
Okay.
And then the interstate came through and took our house.
Oh, wow.
But I lived across the street from my mom's mom. So that was kind of cool that they were able to go back and forth with the kids and everything. I remember one time, well, I was 4, but it's still a memory. One of my first is that I guess I have probably gotten a piece of gum. You know, at 4, you don't really chew too much gum.
Sure.
And for some reason, I was twirling it around my nose, and it got stuck. My mom sent me over to her mom to get it off because she couldn't figure out how to get it off. Then we moved to out in, a little bit further out to west in Omaha, and my mom selected the house because it was close to an all-girls high school, which 7 girls, really good.
Yeah, yeah.
And just fun times. We had a great family. My mom was I kind of get my crazy energy from her. She was very busy. She was always working, always she had told us many times as we got older that it takes a lot of work to run a family and to have the family close. You have to make time. You have to make it, you have to do the inviting. And she was very good at that.
Yeah.
And my dad and mom both gone now, but with having all the sisters and my one brother, we have so many fun times still. We go on trips together. Some are in Omaha, some are one sister in Kansas City, and then my sister and I are in St. Louis. So I've done the 70-29 route many times.
Oh, sure, absolutely. What was it like growing up in that huge family?
It was so fun.
Yeah.
We had the upstairs all to ourselves, all 7 girls. So my mom always called it the girls' dormitory. And just a lot of fun stories. I remember on a Saturday morning, we'd go upstairs to clean and talk about how crazy this is like, when I was a teacher forever, and so we'd have all the drills, intruder drills and everything. Well, we used to do bomb drills because, especially living up in Omaha close to Offutt Air Force Base, with the threat of the Cold War, that they were going to, so we would have bomb drills. I mean, we were supposed to be cleaning. But we'd have those in school, too, like we'd get under our desk, like,
that was going to save the day.
That saves, a nuclear attack. So let's see. So we went on a lot of vacations. My mom was very good about that.
Yeah.
And that was always either staying with somebody we knew, or in Colorado, she had found this. It was sort of like an Airbnb would be today.
Oh, okay.
So an old lady there had a great big house, and we'd stay in the upstairs. And just driving across the state of Nebraska, and you're there. So we've gone there quite a few times. And the only time all 10 of us, we would gone out to D.C. My dad had 2 brothers living out there. So we drove up to Detroit, stayed with some of my mom's friends, and so it was really amazing. So we had this big station wagon. You'd have 3 in the front, 3 in the middle, and then 4 in the back. And of course, there's no seat belts. We just would,
free for all.
We had no seats in the back. We had laid it all down.
Yeah.
So we would always, be all just crazy.
Yeah.
No screens, no headphones, no TV like we do on today's market.
Yes.
But then when in high school, I was. People don't believe me, but I was very quiet and very shy in grade school. And then I'm just like, well, you know what? I had to have stuff to say too, I guess. But in high school, I found a really great group of girls. Yeah. That we just had our 50th high school reunion, and the 5 of us were able to all go.
Oh, that's
really fun, really fun. And I still see a couple of them when I go up to Omaha. And so having found a nice niche and a nice group of people that are supporting you for your whole life is just worth so much in gold.
Why do you think you came into your personality, so to speak, in high school?
Well, it's the funniest thing. I babysat a lot.
Yeah.
And I remember it's kind of, coming up, the parents would come home really late, and the scary dads would take you home. And it would be like, and be really quiet. And for some reason, I thought I had to talk to these people. And so I just kind of developed I guess, more of a comfort in able to talk to people. And it kind of stems back from having to have so many different experiences, as I kind of had a lot of jobs in my lifetime, a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
And I think just having to interview a lot, you know, when you have 30, 40 jobs, you have to go through a lot of different interviews.
Yeah.
And I think the confidence of high school, finding a good group of friends.
Yeah. That's a great thing.
Yeah.
And that you're still this close all these years later. You went to Benedictine
College. So went down there. I had one sister that had gone there, and so then I went there. My mother was very big on making sure that we all did something after high school and along the education line. You know, you have to do something. Whether you know, have a couple of sisters who had gone into the medical, and then different, and so she was very good on promoting college.
Which was, I have to say, probably a little ahead of her time.
It was,
at that, right?
And also, when I was in high school, we were kind of tracked, and so I was in the middle track, not the college bound. So when I took the ACT test, I had 2 years of math, and the geometry sophomore year, the teacher was sort of like a counselor too, so we'd watch hygiene movies and everything. Yeah. And so how was I supposed to be able to do math without any? That was my only math classes in my life.
Yeah.
So I didn't do very well in the ACT, but you know, but my mom was like insistent that we were going to make it in college, and she was great. She was right. So we had all been told by this counselor that we were not college material, and we did it.
Take that.
Yeah. So Benedictine, just had a blast down there. I met my husband, John Brown.
Yes.
And Melinda Smith, you know, a Smith to a Brown. So we just had a great time. He was from the St. Louis area. His folks had moved all around because his dad was in the Air Force. He was a lifetime. He retired lieutenant colonel.
Okay.
And he was stationed in Scott.
Okay.
So my husband he was born in Arizona. He had moved to so many different bases in the States, and then the two youngest were born in Bermuda, and then they were stationed over in Japan for his 5th, 6th, and 7th grades.
Wow.
So it was so funny because his dad got the orders when he was in 6th grade to go to Hawaii, and they're celebrating. Woohoo, man, we're going to Hawaii.
We're going to Hawaii
for 3 years.
That's the greatest thing ever.
And then they got new orders when they were in Hawaii that they're going to go over to Japan.
Bait and switch.
Yeah. He loves it. He loved it. They all loved it. They loved Japan. They had so much freedom. He's this middle school kid. They would go on the train by themselves.
Oh, my goodness.
Out into the Japanese community.
Oh, my goodness.
And he talked about the different bases and how they would have competitions between the guys, the Air Force guys. And he just really, really enjoyed Japan. It was a shame that he never got to get back over there.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
To go there for what, 6th, 7th, 8th grade?
I know, yeah.
Well,
no, it was 5th, 6th, and 7th because he came back. And he had to go to 8th grade in Belleville, Illinois, with nuns. And they were, and he was the new kid.
And he was the new kid in 8th grade, too.
And the nuns got so upset because he kept saying, yes, ma'am. Because in the service, you answer everybody, yes, ma'am. And they'd get so mad because he didn't say, yes, sister. So, he was pretty much a rebel rouser anyway. In high school, he kind of had, he had said that the dean had a chair right next to the door for him.
Waiting for him to arrive.
Yes.
Do you remember the first time you met your husband?
You know what? I met him. There was his roommate and my roommate at the time. We met each other through the roommates, and then we were sledding. At Benedictine. It had been a big snowstorm, and I remember he saying, "I thought you were going to run me over." I was sledding down the hill, and I don't remember it too much, but he had always said, "You were coming right after me." And so then we took a philosophy class together, and that's where we really kind of met. We really did meet each other, and that's what the philosophy class was, where we connected, and life is 47 years later.
Yeah. What was it about John that made it work from the beginning?
We went out. We always partied at this trailer, and we sat next to each other a lot, even before we really started going out. And he's really smart, and I just really loved the conversation of having a smart person and being able to connect on that level. And so that really, I think, was a deciding factor, as well as just meeting and having fun and being together.
Do you recall your wedding day?
My wedding day was a mess because because John was
July
driving
1st, 1978.
July 1st, 78. John was driving from St. Louis, and his car broke, and he couldn't get his car repaired. So then all of his groomsmen were ahead of him, and they were, I don't know, I can't remember exactly where he broke down, close to Columbia. And so a lot of his groomsmen had traveled together, and he kept trying to call them, but no cell phones or anything.
No cell phones.
So they finally got a hold of him because they'd been drinking too much. They couldn't answer the phone. So they went back to pick up John that morning. Then they had to drive to Omaha. And so that was the Friday of the rehearsal dinner. So then we had no car because
his car's broken down.
And so we had the wedding and the reception, and then the next day we had to leave. We left, and the only way we could get home was to go home with his mom and dad, his grandma, and his sister.
Super romantic.
Super romantic. And we made it to Columbia, and then my sister-in-law thought, she went to Benedictine too. I remember coming to Kansas City and Columbia. No, we made it to Kansas City that night. And she goes, I want to go out for dinner. They took her out for dinner and left us at the hotel. So we thought, okay, we're gonna have a nice dinner down at the restaurant. Well, it was Sunday, so the restaurant had closed like at 7:30, and so we ended up having dinner at the snack shop, the coffee bar, in the morning.
Even more romantic.
Yeah. Then we were dropped off in Columbia to get the car on Monday, and then we thought, we're just going to drive around, and that was our honeymoon.
Oh my goodness, because the car. Wow.
So yeah, it was so romantic.
You guys moved to St. Louis.
Yep.
And you had, as you write, many jobs in life. Certainly education being the background.
Yes.
But take me through your career journey.
Well, of course, I babysat forever.
Yes.
And then when I had turned 16, I started as a telemarketer. It was more of a recruitment for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation.
Okay.
We used to call people, or you would have people that would go door to door to collect. And I just dialed numbers all the time and asked if they wanted to do that. And so that was my very first official job.
That couldn't have been an easy job.
It wasn't. It was like...
What was your conversion rate?
Oh, man, it was hard. If we could get one an hour, we were doing great. And then lots of restaurants. I was a maid at 2 different hotels.
Yeah.
I worked... So I thought, this maid is not going to be working very well. So my friend and I, we became packers for a moving company.
Oh, wow.
And that was a hard job. And then one time I said, I need to get another job. So I was a factory worker. I worked on the line at a cosmetic company, a cosmetic brush company. I ran a glue machine. And you'd take the handle to a brush, and you'd take the little top to the brush, and you'd push your foot and one little drop of glue, and then you'd put the top on, and you'd do that for 8 hours.
Oh my goodness.
I always messed up the machines, and so all these older ladies had to come over and work on the machines, and they would get so mad at me. It was no air conditioning. I started at 6:30 in the morning.
Oh.
It was so hot. It was crazy. If you know Omaha in the middle of summer, I went back to cleaning hotel rooms.
Yeah, because it was so
It was.
That sounds tedious.
You could watch TV while you were cleaning. So that was
Yeah, that's a good way to get through the day.
Oh, like I said, lots of waitressing jobs. Then when I went to school, I had, well, let's see, high school I had to have money because we paid our own tuition junior and senior year, and I think it was $100 a year. So, I had to save for that.
Yeah.
And then I paid for all my college, and I had some loans and stuff. But I just needed to get a job anywhere I could. And so on campus, I had a lot of service jobs that were, the work study. And I had worked at Pizza Hut. I worked at a country club there. I worked so many jobs. And we always had an interterm during winter, which was 6 weeks. And I would get a job for those 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And so many things. But I graduated in home ec education and moved to St. Louis. I didn't get a job my first year, but the second year out, I was a teacher, home ec teacher at Bishop DeBerg High School.
Oh.
And we had a blast there. It was so big. There was 2,100 kids, and so there was like 130 on staff. And there was a lot of us that had just that was our, we were young, and that was like kind of our first job. So we all had a blast because I didn't know. My sister lived in St. Louis, but no one, I didn't really know too many other people in St. Louis.
Yeah.
So these became, our friends, the work people. And I just looked like one of the students. And so if we had mass, the students could dress up. And so one day I was walking the hall, senior hall. That was my one of my duties. And a teacher came out of the room and says, "What are you doing out of class?" Because he just thought I was I thought I was a student because we didn't know all the teachers. So that was DeBerg, really fun. And then I went to Mercy in U City, which is no longer there. Yeah. And then along the way, home ec was really a dying discipline, and so I thought I better go back and get something else to teach. Well, the home ec, social studies and English, they were so many people. You couldn't compete there. Wasn't going to do a foreign language. And I remember I liked biology in high school. I took one little PUD class of science in college. So I went back and got you had to take 30 hours of science, 20 in the science that you wanted to teach. So I got my biology certification. So I taught biology and home ec at DeBerg and biology and home ec down at St. Elizabeth Academy.
Oh, yeah.
I moved a lot of jobs because just in between kids. And so, except like DeBerg's almost closed. Mercy's closed. I was at Aquinas Mercy for a semester. I was down at St. Elizabeth. It's closed. You might not want to hire me. But I ended up my career the last 16 years at Bayless High School.
All right, Bayless, sure.
And it was a good fit for me. I was my single person department. I could do whatever. Yeah. And I really got into a lot of service learning. That was I had been assigned a leadership class. I said, well, if you're going to teach leadership, we have to have something to teach. Something. And so I got a service learning grant. I applied for a service learning, and we did so many things. It was great. We really I had a real good partnership with the Afton Food Pantry. And we did, the art teacher would have her students make bowls, ceramic bowls, and decorate them all. And then I provided all the food. And we had this huge Super Bowl for hunger, always the Friday before the Super Bowl. Yeah. And it was a big community event. We have 200, 300, 400 people. And so it was really amazing, and the kids did such a great job. So we've had it on campus, we had it up at different events places, and so that was really very cool. We did that for quite a few years. We raised like $3,000 for the food bank. Yeah. And it was really a nice thing, and the kids, I took the kids a lot of places. We went shopping for some food. They didn't want the money as much as they wanted us to go afterwards. Yeah. So I'd take these kids to supermarkets, and we'd spend $300-400. It was really, really fun. I love that. Another one that was near and dear to my heart was Nurses for Newborns. Yeah. I was very connected with them, and when I taught sewing, the kids' first projects were, I was finding them in the trash and in the lockers because, it's not too bad. So we did baby blankets and baby buntings, sort of like
Yeah.
sleep sacks. And then for our final exam, I would take them up to the office at Nurses for Newborns, and we would donate them, and then they learned all about Nurses for Newborns. And just having that experience, I think there are things out there in the community that you can do, and yet without teaching someone, they don't really understand that there are these opportunities.
Yeah.
And so it was really, I did have one student who went there all the time after that to volunteer. And I think service learning, especially in my department, we were practical arts, and you have to teach, you have to not only teach, but you have to do. And I think that helped immensely. Students still come back and tell me how they enjoyed going to these different events and going to giving back to their community.
Yeah, that has to mean a lot, that that legacy really influenced them. That's what was your favorite thing about teaching? You taught at a variety of places. What brought you joy and reward from something?
The students.
Yeah.
And when I was with the Super Bowl for Hunger, we were on the news one time, and then I guess it was 2007. The newspaper asked for someone to do a spotlight on education, so I was in the newspaper, and we had talked a lot about service learning and the meal running program. So I started this meal running program. It was through the South County Senior Center. Again, we did so much with the South County Senior Center.
Yeah.
What would happen is that every morning, a driver from the South County Senior Center would come over and pick up one of my students, and they were meal runners. And they would go back to the senior center, pack up all of the Meals on Wheels, and then they would be the runners. So a lot of them were older drivers.
Yeah.
And so they would drive, the senior citizens would drive, and then my students would go up to the door and deliver.
Okay.
And just amazing. So I ran that program for quite a while. So every day I would have to assign somebody to go with the drivers. And we had this one gentleman, Ray Unger. He was with the South County Senior Center for so many years, and he was an amazing man. He connected with these students, and some of these students had some challenges, and he made them all feel comfortable. And it was a very diverse school. So we had I think one year home languages were like 23 different languages spoken at home. And we only, our district was so tiny, like 1,600 kids. He was an amazing man, and he worked so hard for the South County Senior Center. And so there was an award from the Mid-East Agency on Aging, and they were giving a national award. So I applied for Ray to receive this award, and he got the award, and it was in D.C. So he had no money to go to D.C. So we raised money by selling cookies, and we were able to send him to Washington, D.C., and the director over at the the senior center. And so he got to go. And we were on the front page of the paper for that
that's super
event.
cool. I assume you still have that.
Yes. So he, like I said, he was amazing. That it was that intergenerational. The kids, at first, would be very nervous about going by themselves, but then he had them feel so comfortable. And then there was other drivers that we had over the course of quite a few years. So that was really fun. And then I got an award one time and had to go to D.C. for the Super Bowl. So the art teacher and I went, and I go to class in the morning, but my restaurant management class was having breakfast for the faculty. And so I remembered I stuck this bread knife in my purse in the morning because I didn't have a lot of nice bread knives at school. I'm rushing really fast to get through to go to no, it starts with I was going to Omaha to visit. So that afternoon after class, I rushed over to the airport, and I'm in line at the security, and they send my purse through the machine. Whose purse is this? They pulled out my 8-inch bread knife in my purse.
Oh, my
TSA was not happy with me.
Oh, my goodness.
So I'm like, okay. So I'm standing there, and I am just like, no. And when I get, very nervous, I talk very fast. No, I'm a culinary result teacher, and we had breakfast this morning. And I kept going on. And so the TSA gal brings over 2 police officers, and they check my ticket, and they check my license, and they run everything. So they're discussing things. And so then finally the police officer says, okay, you can go. And I said, well, what are you going to do with the knife? And the TSA agent said, well, we have to throw it away. And the police officer said, no, if you have, I had a carry-on bag, but if you check your bag, you can take it with you. So here he is. I'm like, okay, I'll do that because my flight had been delayed after all this.
Yeah.
He's walking through the airport with the knife like this.
Oh, my goodness.
And I'm walking behind him like he's the mother duck. Everybody's looking at me.
Yeah, like, what is this?
Get to security, cross that little line. I open my suitcase, put it in my suitcase, go back through the line, go through security again. So by this time, I needed a beer. So I go into the bar, on the concourse there. It's very crowded. It's Friday night, and I'm standing at the bar, and there's a guy real close to me sitting in a chair because it was so crowded. He goes, did they strip search you? I'm like,
oh my goodness.
So then I go to D.C. and on the way from St. Louis, no problem. So no big deal. On the way home in Dulles, where 9/11 came, I'm like, whose purse is this?
Oh my
She
goodness.
pulls out a Sawzall blade. I'm like, oh my God. I had borrowed my sister's Sawzall to cut some bushes down, and I was going to be a nice sister and and get her a new blade. And I had put it in there months before.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I check my purse all the time before I travel.
Oh my goodness.
So then when I was teaching knife skills to my food service classes, I was telling them the story, and he goes, one of my gentlemen, my senior boys probably, he was from a different country. He goes, oh, Mrs. Brown, it's because you're a cute little white girl. Because I would have been in the
different standards,
in prison.
huh?
Oh, because when I was going up to Omaha, the police officer says, okay, you can go this time, but if this happens again, you're not, you're going to jail. So here I'm in D.C. thinking, oh my God. And then my friend had gone through a different line, and I am shaking, and I go to the bathroom. She goes, what's the matter? I said, I was almost arrested in D.C. So it was fine. It was good. It was all good.
That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah.
That is
So,
something else.
lots of stories.
Yeah.
So, gosh, in home ec lab and biology lab, you can have a lot of stories. When I was a student teacher out in farm area of Kansas, there was 2 student teachers, and they took a lot of the classes on a field trip and left me, which they were never supposed to do because I was a student teacher. And they have this little sewing class. I'd look over, and there's 2 farm boys kind of going at it, and there was a seam ripper sticking out of one of the guy's arms. Of a seam ripper is a little handle with a little blade and a hook, and so it was like, what am I supposed to do? I'm a student teacher.
Yeah.
Let's see. I had not one knife, little stab, but it wasn't bad. 2 fires, just a lot of different things. Let's see, and when I was in biology years ago at DeBerg, we did blood typing, which you would never do on today's market. So you had a little lance, and all of them just took their lances out of there, and I would go to each and every student, and they would put their finger out, and I'd do the lance, and go to the next kid, smear blood all over those slides. That would never happen.
Yeah, not in 2025.
No,
oh my goodness. I always am curious how teachers balance being mom or dad, and then also the responsibilities that come with being a teacher. How did you handle
You
that?
know what? It's just, you're always busy.
Yeah.
It's always busy. Sometimes I think about what I did having 5 children before I get ready for work in the morning.
Yeah.
Because, trying to get them, and we had carpools, we had lots of different help in the community. My kids all went to Seven Holy Founders. With playing sports, and that's the base of our, the friends that I have now. just became our friends. We built our house, so everybody was new on the block. There were so many kids. It was a wonderful area to grow up.
Oh, that had to be the best.
Within our block, there were 5 families with 5 kids each. So we had a lot of kids. And it was really amazing community and just a really fun time for the kids. And then when I started teaching at Bayless, it was so close that I didn't have to learn a new area, and it was a wonderful thing.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
That's a great thing when you've got the kids all out there together.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In a
Street
neighborhood.
hockey was big. I don't see it very big nowadays, but man, car, moving that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tell me about what was important to you and your husband as far as how you raise your family.
Well, I think that I was the nice one, as John always said. He was more. He always said, "Yeah, just keep talking, Melinda. They'll listen." No, I think that just having the ability to be together on the same page for many things. We were very big into education.
Yeah.
I had always said that we lived on John's salary, and then what I made, we used on educating our 5 kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was an important part. My sister my one sister, Mary, had lived, she was here before. She had moved down to St. Louis before me. Her husband went to Benedict, and they went to Benedict. And so she was down here when I moved down. And she was the most wonderful, wonderful person in the world.
Yeah.
She was so nice. My husband kept saying, she's not really that nice. No one's going to be that nice. She has 4 girls, and so she and I were down here together. And then my sister moved down 6 years after I was here. Another sister, and Mary. Her husband had to move from St. Louis to Texas. Well, when she was about in mid-40s, she developed breast cancer, and it was very, 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 very difficult. And she was in remission, but then she had to move to Texas. That's why we hate Texas. And then she passed away. It had developed into bone cancer, which was excruciating. And she passed away at 50. And I think that's the first time I felt like a grown-up, to have to struggle through that loss.
Yeah.
I'd had 5 kids. I had jobs, but I think that was when I felt like a growing up, and it was such a difficult time. She was to go in for surgery right before Christmas because of a hip problem with her bones. But the night before she was going into the hospital for surgery, a lot of her vertebrae collapsed, and it was so painful. We put all 5 kids in the car, and we drove to Houston. But on the way, when we were in Oklahoma, they closed the interstate because it was such a bad ice snowstorm. So we found a truck stop. I found a truck stop with a hotel with this big room. I don't know how we were lucky enough to find that. And then we moved, and then we went into Houston, and the pain that she was in was excruciating. And then she recovered enough to be able to, for Easter that year, she came up to Omaha. We all came to Omaha. And then a week later, all of my siblings and I went down to Houston, and she passed away about 3 days after that in May. So that was really hard. It was really difficult. It was, her and I were very, very close. We looked a lot alike, and we were, I think, also from being in St. Louis together, seeing our kids, play together and grow together. And so the loss was, I still feel the loss to this day.
Yes.
I can't believe it's been 25 years. It just doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
And so it was, I think you need to prepare yourself in life for losses. And that was my first, big loss.
Yeah.
And so, and of course, it was so hard losing mom and dad. But my mom was 95 and my dad was 92. So what a blessed life, and just such a long life. It was really hard on them losing Mary.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You don't lose you don't lose your own child.
Yes.
Yeah.
You lose your own child. Yes. And so did that give you any? I don't know what the right word would be. Lesson is too loose of a word, but did going through that change the way that you went forward? Because you said it was the first time you felt like you'd become an adult, even though you were 50?
You know what? I think that it's just in life when you have to take time to reflect and when you have to think about immortality. I think that has always stayed with me, kind of live life fully,
Yeah.
making sure that you are doing things that are important.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it is part of anyone that you have to go through it at some point, and if you don't, I think you can get really lost in your depression and getting over it. And I know so many people who lose people, and it affects them. And hopefully I have taken it as she was a wonderful, amazing person, and it only made me stronger in my belief of life and the circle of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful tribute to your sister. No question about that. With regard to your children, tell me about your experience as a mom, and from of course becoming a mom into
best and
now.
most wonderful, amazing experience.
Yeah.
My legacy.
Yes.
I mean, you know, I have 5 amazing children. It was John and I were married almost 5 years before we had kids, so that was really fun and great.
Yeah.
And then John Joseph, our oldest, he was named after my husband's dad. So my husband's John Patrick, and so John Joe. We were going to call him Joseph, and then it all just John Joe. He's John Joe.
Yeah.
And so just a great guy. He is in his 40s, 41, and has 2 lovely, wonderful children. Now talk about amazing. Having your children have children is another wonderful experience.
Yeah.
Probably when you're having the children, you're so, they're growing up and you're so day to day, but now when you can experience grandchildren as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. He graduated, he went to SLU High, then Mizzou, and then graduated with his master's from WashU. So he has some education behind him.
Yeah.
And he's a financial analyst, marketing analyst. I don't know the title of all these people. And so doing great. They live in Kirkwood, which is great. They live here in town.
Yeah.
So, and then Larry, or Lawrence, named after my dad. And he graduated, he went to Vianney and Benedictine, and then he's been working at Ameristar Casino for 16 years, or however many years it is out. Yeah, he's a floor supervisor over there.
All right.
So he's doing great. He's not married, but he's a super great guy, just real fun, really nice guy. He moved out on his own when he was like 23, bought a house and everything, but then he had to come back. So he's living in my basement now, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
He's saving some money.
Yeah,
He gives us, he pays us some rent. No, we called him the Vandekamp baby because there used to be an ad and a commercial and about how the simple things in life, and he was such a nice, easygoing kid, just smiling, and so he's doing great. And then Kathleen, she is, let's see, what is she? She is whatever age, I can't remember. No. So she went to, where'd she go? She went to Koryezu for a year, then NARIX, ended up at NARIX, and then Mizzou, and she got her master's in accountancy, and she worked for Price Waterhouse. She's my go-getter. She's like, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to get my 5-year degree in 4 years, and I'm going to work for one of the top CPA firms, and she did. And then she ended up in Kansas City. Her husband is a financial planner for Edward Jones. And so she was working those 3 years, and as a CPA, you are just the hours. And she is like, wait a minute, my husband is working a lot less hours, making more than me. So Ellen ended up in Warrensburg as a financial planner with Edward Jones. And so he took over an office. And so then Kathleen became a financial planner. And so she has an office in Warrensburg.
Oh, wow. So,
and she took over a retirement office that the gentleman had been like a financial planner for 50 years.
Oh, wow.
So they're doing great. And 4 offices in Warrensburg. It's crazy.
That's unbelievable.
I know.
Wow.
I know. So they are doing wonderful. They like I said, Warrensburg. They go into Kansas City a lot. They have a 2-year-old and a 6-week-old. So I just got to go up to babysit him last week.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and like I said, she just is a go-getter. She will, whatever she wants to do, she goes out and gets. Yeah. And then Brian Kevin, but we always call him Petey. His nickname just came about. Let's see. He went to SLU. He went to Mizzou. He graduated in accountancy. And then he was a CPA for 3 years, and then he got a job at Emerson, a big international company.
Sure. He's
tax manager, I'm like, ugh, pardon me, that sounds terrible. My children, luckily, are all the numbers. Mike, my husband, is great with numbers, and not me, so I'm glad that they got that end of it. And so, she's just doing amazing. They're both wonderful. Ellen is from a big farm out in Concordia.
Okay.
And lovely parents. So, and then my Mary, our baby.
Yeah.
She, Narix, Mizzou. Then she came back and went to Goldfarb. She's a nurse practitioner now. And so she's doing wonderful. Her husband, Griffin. They have 2 children. They have Colton is 3, and then Cade is 6 months. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot. Sorry. I have to back up. Petey has 2 children.
Yeah.
Helen, which, that's my mom's name. I was like, oh, it's so cool. So she's 2. And then their little one, Walter, which is my grandpa's name, he's 6 months. And so Walter and my daughter Mary's Cade were born 2 days apart.
Oh, wow.
In June. So Mary has, like I said, she has the 3-year-old, and then Cade is 6 months old.
Got it.
And so they all doing great. They grew up together. One of the most, rewarding thing is my children like each other. They love to do things together. When we go on vacations, they want to go. If we go for family reunions, they want to go. My sister Monica in Kansas City, her family and my sister Melinda and my family, we're all close. The kids have been each other weddings. We grew up together. We went on trips together. And another really fun part is that, partying with your adult kids. I mean, it's just a blast. We just have a good time, and that they want to be with us.
Yeah, that's a great thing, isn't it?
It is. My husband's family is very, very dysfunctional. Very dysfunctional. And he hasn't seen his sister for 25 years at least.
Wow.
And it was very important to me, and I get this from my mom, that we have family. And it was very important for my children because we did have John's side. We had started my husband and her brother started a blimpie shop together, and not good.
Didn't work. Never combine family and business?
Yeah, never go into business with your family. And was very, it was really difficult because they really, after the business collapsed, they were estranged. He never talked to his brother again. No. I mean, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So with that, we'd lost contact with his side a lot, mostly. And then after his mom died 25 years ago, my kids did not associate with his side, and that was really difficult. That's why it was so important, and it's so wonderful that they do have family on my side because of the missed opportunity.
Sure, absolutely. That's a great thing to have. You talk about traveling being something that you have been able to do, and my goodness, you have gone some great places.
Oh, well, growing up, I did a lot of traveling, and then I was blessed. Kathleen and Alan, they both get through Edward Jones, they get trips, and so they took John and I to Sweden a few years ago. And then when I was still teaching, but it was right after COVID, my brother and I had plans to go to Europe. So we went to Europe, went to 7 different countries, amazing. And he had lost his wife very suddenly the summer before we left. And so we were supposed to be ended up in Barcelona in Spain, our first trip, but when we flew to Frankfurt, our flight was canceled, so we had to stay overnight. And the ticket agent says that, and when she was rebooking it, she goes, well, here's the hotel you're going to stay at, and the next stop is Oktoberfest. It was the very end of September. Oh my gosh. We had a blast. We had a blast. Everybody speaks English.
Yeah.
We sang Sweet Home Carolina Sweet Carolina and Take Me Home Country Roads.
Yeah.
2 different times that night. The beer, and then it was really great because my brother had, he was grieving so much, but the next day goes, I don't remember how we got home.
That was a good night.
It was a great way to start because we had been up for 24 hours.
Yeah.
We didn't take a nap when we got into Frankfurt. And so we had, that night, just had we had tackled the jet lag, and we were ready to go for the trip. But we went to the medieval towns over there. We went up through France, over to the Tuscany. I'm in love with Tuscany.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
What's your favorite place you've been to?
Well, South Africa.
South Africa.
South Africa, for sure. My daughter and her husband, since they get these 4 trips a year, they had also won a safari. And so she texts me. She doesn't even call me. Mom, do you and your brother think you want to go to on an African safari this year? I'm like, yes, please. So Mike and I went. And so it was the most majestic, the people, the animals, of course.
Yeah.
It was Hippo Lakes, and what they do, they had gotten this at an auction for, and they couldn't use it, but they had won it at an auction. And Teach Every Nation is an international non-for-profit who train and educate pastors and leadership in the Christian beliefs, and they then provide these packages for these auctions. And so when we went it was top of the line glamping. I mean, it was the most amazing tent I ever stayed in or ever saw. Full bathrooms. Mike and I had our own room. We had a living room. This was a tent. But on the campus, in the middle, 3 hours north of Johannesburg, they have this campus where that's the Teach Every Nation that you can come, that all the people come to for training. And so that was kind of cool that Hippo Lakes provides the support for this charity.
Yeah,
I thought that was really a neat thing.
Yeah.
But we would go on these drives, and the animals, and we had met this young couple. So we went 5 days on the safari. And I guess they kind of pair you up because then we ended up with 3 days in Cape Town. So we had this semi-private tour. And so this young couple from Mississippi and the driver and the tour guide on our Cape Town trip, he had been with the archives of Cape Town. So he knew so much, and it was so interesting. Everybody was in a place where they were kind of restoring. The couple had just gone through a miscarriage. The driver had lost a son. My brother had just lost his wife. And so it was an amazing bonding experience as well. We had gone to this beautiful winery, and we're all sitting there looking over this majestic thing, and we were all sharing stories of grief and again of renewal.
Yeah.
And it was the most rewarding experience of travel that I ever had.
Yeah.
And to do it with my brother was just
that'd
great.
be the best.
And we just really have an amazing connection, Mike and I as well. I mean, all my siblings, but we really do. And the travel has really cemented that bond, I think, because we went to Alaska one time together, my brother and I, and just I would go anywhere. Yeah. I would love to go anywhere.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
That's incredible. One final question for you. If you could tell your 20-year-old self anything as far as a lesson in life goes, what would you say?
I think that you have to be open to change. Technology is so great on today's market because as you know, with AI, I had been retired. I've been retired 4 years, but we were already seeing that in the school.
Oh, really? You were already starting to see it?
Yeah, and you know, homework, and are they using AI? And even and especially now today, you know, with everything that's going on. I was in a meeting with a lot of young teachers before I retired, and we got off on this whole tangent about everybody's going to have to rely on the government because AI is going to take over every job, and what are we going to do? And I was thinking, well, I think this was the same story I heard when they were building an automobile and they were going to take over the horses and electricity. When you think about what I think about when my grandparents and my parents went through, and now what I've gone through for the last 69 years, I mean, you can't fight change, and you have to embrace it, because I am all about exploration, and I think that if somebody's going to do all the jobs for me, cook for me, and clean for me, great. I have the opportunity to do more.
Yes, yeah.
To do other things.
Absolutely.
I can go to the moon. I mean, I really believe my if not my children, my grandchildren will be traveling to the moon.
Wow.
I believe that.
Yeah.
My grandkids, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, when you take knowledge and you combine it, I mean, you know, like what happened in the Middle Ages, you got so much because we started writing.
Yes.
And then the internet is just like crazy. I mean, too much information out there. But now, if you can do calculations and figure out what can take years to do, and now we can do it at the touch of a button, why not develop and move on?
Yeah.
Because let's say that we do need to move on from this world. But I don't know. I won't be around, but I bet you my grandkids will be taking, you know, people already going on.
Yeah, they're just going out to outer space for a little trip.
Yeah.
Isn't it incredible?
I know it is. It is. And I think that it would be exciting and fun. I mean, you know, just think about stepping on a boat when you're Christopher Columbus.
That didn't seem possible. I don't know where I'm going. Yeah, that's incredible.
But I think you have to embrace change. And I feel old when I say, "Oh, I remember." But I also I'm a very optimistic person. I think that it is something that is here. You may as well embrace it because you can't fight it.
Yeah.
And so
it's wonderful. It's wonderful technology. Well, Melinda, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your stories and your positive, upbeat personality. It has been a wonderful chance to talk with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.